Welcome to Fishing the 262. Are you looking for an easy way to put a ton of fish in the boat? You're in luck. I've got the answer for you. I'm going to break it all down, everything from what we're looking for on the water to the rod, the reel, the technique, all of it. We're going to get you set up. After you watch this video, you're going to be able to go out and catch a pile of fish. So let's just jump right into it. And first and foremost, I want to start off by saying this is something that everybody can do. And when I say everybody, I truly mean it. Anybody from an expert angler way up here on the totem pole to somebody who's just starting out learning how to fish at the very beginning of their fishing journey can do this. And it's really easy. So first and foremost, we have to find our spot, right? So what are we looking for out there on the water? And when are we going to do this? You can do this throughout the entire day. Typically, we like to do this in the late afternoon because sometimes we'll fish into the night even if the walleyes happen to be biting on that evening. So we're normally going to launch the boat probably 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the summertime. We're going to fish sometimes until midnight if it's me and my buddy. If I've got one of the kids with me, we're not going to stay that late, obviously, but you can do this well into the night if you want to. So be prepared for that. Snacks, drinks, all of it. Make sure you're out there ready to be out there you could be out there for 3-4 hours. You could be out there for 8 or 10 hours. It's really up to you, but just be ready to be out there because it's a lot of fun. And sometimes it's hard just to go home because the fish are biting so well. So what are we looking for on the water? Once we've got the boat launched, we're looking for underwater structures that we know hold a lot of fish. So whether it be an underwater point, some of the small humps, weed edges. We've got one lake around us that has what we call the islands. It's a series of 3 basically submerged islands with deep water access. So the islands around them, maybe 30 to 35 foot of water, and they'll come all the way up into 6 to 8 feet of water. So, and we'll fish the whole break line up and down on the top of the islands, just depending on what's going on. You'll find, at least we found that the walleyes will come all the way up to the shallow on top of the island to feed. There's one in particular that has a very rocky, gravelly substrate to it, and that's the one the walleyes seem to congregate towards. So there will be points throughout the evening where we'll be in that 6 to 8 foot, and there will be points where we're down in the 30-foot range, just targeting different fish. So how are we going to get after those fish once we get to our spot? It's so simple, you guys. You don't need a fancy rod. You don't need an expensive reel to do this. I am going to go through my setup, and I want to be abundantly clear. My setup is overkill for this. I built this rod because I enjoy the technique and I enjoy building rods, so I have some access to, some nice components and stuff, but you certainly don't need anything this fancy to do it. It's real simple. We're going to drop shot these fish. And when I say drop shot, I'm talking about live bait. I know that's not traditionally what we do here on this channel or what we talk about, but we're going to drop shot night crawlers and or leeches. If we can get leeches, we're going to bring them with us without a shadow of a doubt. But night crawlers, leeches, you could drop shot fathead minnows to do this if you wanted. We've even had evenings where we'll bring an extra rod with a slip bobber rigged up on it, and we'll just float that minnow off the side of the boat while we drop shot our crawlers and leeches. As far as the setup to drop shot, it doesn't have to be fancy. Like I said, most any rod will do the job. When it comes to the reel, you're just going to want something with a good smooth drag because you don't know what's going to bite when you do this. We have had evenings, my tournament partner and I will do this on occasion just for fun, and we'll try to see how many different species of fish we can catch. We've had evenings where we've caught upwards of a dozen different species in one night doing this. So we have had low 30s pike coming to the boat. We have had an evening where my friend Jason boated a 28-inch walleye doing this technique. So you're going to need a decent drag is my point to execute this, because those bigger fish are going to give you a run for your money on these lighter rods and this lighter gear that we're going to show you here. So my rod is MHX NSJ 781. That's the Elite X series. It's a 6'6", light powered. It's rated for 6 to 10 pound test, 1/16 to 5/16 ounce lure rating. So typically when we're doing this, I'm drop shotting a 1/4 ounce weight. I'm running 8-pound high-vis braid to a fairly long 6 or 7 pound fluorocarbon leader. We're going to tie that with an FG knot, you guys, because When I say long, I'm going to run usually a 20-foot leader on this, not because it's necessary, but because you are going to break off a few fish doing this. It's just inevitable. You're going to get a toothy critter and they're going to break you off, and you're going to want to be able to retie without having to sit down and potentially in the dark and tie a new FG knot. So a nice long fluorocarbon leader. You could fish straight fluoro if you want. I like the braid when we're down in them 30 to 35 foot depths. I just think it gives you a little added sensitivity. That little bit less stretch helps you get the hook home a little bit easier. But there's nothing fancy about it. This is a Daiwa Pro Scion 2000. I think I paid 140 bucks or 150 bucks for this reel when it was on sale. They blew these out a little bit when they switched to the MQ frames, but you can see it's got a really smooth drag. And that's the key, you guys. It doesn't have to be a fancy rod. It doesn't have to be a fancy reel. It just has to have a good drag to handle those bigger fish when they do bite. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's the setup. Get out there, get set up. You know, like I said, launch the boat later in the afternoon. You could do this all day long. You could probably do it first thing in the morning if morning angling is more your thing than being out there at nighttime. But again, get out there, get set up, have your live bait ready to go. Have ways to keep your crawlers cool in the summertime. You know, we usually just throw them in a styrofoam container inside of a cooler. You know, the leeches will kind of throw right in that same cooler, and just keep everything cool so it stays fresh and it stays alive. And just get to drop shotting, you guys. It's so much fun, and you can catch so many fish doing this, and it's a great way to help light the fire for your kids that are first starting out. Maybe your spouse wants to go out and she doesn't fish a ton. It's a good way to put her on a bunch of fish, keep yourself on a bunch of fish, and the rods are going to stay bent, the line's going to stay tight. You're going to have a really great time doing it. So I would really encourage you guys to get out there, drop shot some live bait, do this all summer long into the fall, and just catch a bunch of fish. Maybe bring yourself home a nice little fish fry at the end of the evening as well. So that's all I've got for you today. I promised you I'd get you in under 10 minutes. We're at the 7.5 minute mark. We're going to take off. We're out of here. Tight lines, everybody. Catch you on the next one.